Hey, it's Amy Shaw here. It's July 22nd, 2017. I haven't made a video in quite a few weeks actually because I'm convalescing. I'm stuck here on my couch. I'm actually coming to you from my couch right now. I'm sitting here with my leg propped up on 3 pillows. It's basically where I've been for the last 3 weeks. What happened is that on July 3rd, I went over to my next door neighbor's house and I stepped off her patio onto the grass. The grass like slopes away from the patio, and when I stepped off, I rolled my foot, rolled my ankle. This is the second time I've been to this neighbor's house, and it's the second time I fell in the exact same spot. The first time I fell at her house, I just twisted my ankle. It got a little bit swollen, not much, but you know, it wasn't any consequence. I was able to walk the next day. It was like nothing. This time, I was able to actually get up and hobble home with my husband's help. And I got in bed and I thought I just sprained it, no big deal. But when I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I realized that I could not put any weight on my ankle at all. And it was excruciating pain. I mean, I literally was like crawling to the bathroom and not sure how I was going to get up. I was in so much pain. So the next morning I got up and I realized like it is really, really swollen. Actually, when I went to the bathroom and I got back in the bed with my husband's help, he immediately got ice, and so I started icing it. But when I got up the next morning, I realized like I've never seen an ankle look like this. I mean, it was really gnarly. It was huge and just, it was very grotesque looking actually. So again, I couldn't imagine that I broke my ankle. I thought I just sprained it. So to try to avoid a trip to the emergency room, I thought I'm just going to do what they're going to tell me to do anyway, which is elevate it, ice it, wrap it. And I did all 3 of those things. But after 24 hours, it wasn't getting any better. And actually, the pain was so intense that I was literally like physically shaking and nauseous. You know, it's amazing what the body, you know, does, how it mitigates pain for us, and how strong those endorphins really, really are. It reminded me the only other time I felt pain like that was actually during childbirth. And I've attended many, many different births, you know, including had 3 children naturally myself. So, you know, I know there's a certain part in the labor process where a woman will start shaking and vomiting. And really, that's just a sign, you know, that the hormones are at their peak level, and you know, that transition is coming in terms of labor. And I felt like that nausea and that shaking, and just very, very intense. But I was able to actually work through it. You know, mentally, I just kept telling myself, you know, mind over matter, mind over matter. You can control this pain. You know, this is just your body. It's just your nerves shooting off, sending signals to your brain, but you are in control of your brain. You got this. I kept saying that to myself. And remarkably, I was able to get through that with like I took 1 ibuprofen, no, meloxicam. I took 1 15 milligram meloxicam. Meloxicam is basically a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, so it's in the same class as ibuprofen. It's a non-narcotic. So basically, I took 1 15 milligram of meloxicam. Well, people who saw my ankle were like, "Oh my gosh, Amy, that's you better go to the emergency room because that's not a sprain. That's not a sprain." I couldn't imagine that I actually broke my ankle. But my husband had to go to work the next day, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to drive. So I figured, okay, we better go. So on the 4th of July in the evening, so about 24 hours after I rolled my ankle, I went into the emergency room, they x-rayed it, and I broke both the bones in my leg, my tibia and my fibula. The larger leg bone I actually broke in 2 different spots. So, you know, they told me in the emergency room that it's likely I'm going to have surgery to pin it because both bones are broken and it's hard for the ankle to have stability with both sides being broken. But they, you know, did a temporary splint, sent me home. So here I am, like on crutches. I'm going to be 45 years old this year, at the end of this year, and this is the first time in my life that I've broken a bone, and 2 bones at that. So how awesome is that, right? My first thought immediately was, was this a dark magic attack? And the only reason that I even considered that is because I know that there are people in my life around me. I feel it even coming at me in the ether, who have malevolent intent towards me, whether they're, praying against me, coming from a place of their religion or their faith, or praying for me as they would think. In essence, they're praying against me and the work that I'm here to do. Whether they're praying against me or, there's been other people who, have much more straightforward dark sorcery, where they're trying to sort of create a mob mentality of people who see me a certain way and are sending their negative intention and their malevolent thoughts about me, who don't have my best interest at heart, who maybe wish me harm. I definitely do have a handful of people in my life who fit that category. So while I did think of that immediately, like, was this a dark sorcery attack? I really do not give my power over like that to people. So the first thing I did after I said that to myself was that, no, Amy, you're a shaman. You are going to own this. You're going to own it. And so I immediately began processing it and trying to understand what's the message and what is this telling me. It's interesting because for about 3-4 weeks now, I had known that something was coming. I didn't know what it was, but I knew. My higher self was telling me, to be in preparation for this final stage of healing. And it really is sort of like a scab. I don't know if you've ever picked your scabs or, accidentally caught them on something and they rip off, and so it's like a stage, a healing process, a stage. One time after my mastectomy, I had actually an open wound inside my chest that was about finger length deep, that went in sort of perpendicular, and it was about this big around. And, we had to take pretty drastic steps to help that heal, packing the wound. And I mean, it was a experience that I had never had before. But it was so fascinating to see how the body really heals from the inside out slowly over time, over a period of about 6 weeks. This hole in my body that was this long completely healed up to where you look at it now, and I know where that was, but if you were to look at my scar line, you would not even know that I had a hole that deep in me in that location. So the body is just amazing, and it was fascinating. So anyway, I knew that this was going to happen. Something was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to be that, and I wasn't expecting that, like a broken ankle, 2 broken bones, and that I would be completely sort of dependent and limited in my mobility for 6 to 8 weeks. I didn't expect that, but I knew something was coming. So when I actually went within myself and said, okay, what is this about? What is this about? This has happened on my right side once again, and, what's going on in my life, and, it made perfect sense to me, and I'm actually really grateful that it happened. The interesting thing is that people will say to me, people have said to me, even in my immediate, family circle, people that are, sort of doubters, they don't really understand shamanism, or they lack faith. Well, if you're a shaman, why did this happen to you? This shouldn't have happened to you if you were a shaman. And, each time I'm met with that sort of resistance, I kind of chuckle and I say, no, actually this happened to me because I am a shaman. Shamans, we eat this stuff for breakfast, man. It's all about transmutation. It's taking pain and suffering, and transmuting it, turning it into something that's useful and valuable, using it as purification and as initiation and to gain wisdom and insight and experience. You can't be the wounded healer unless you're wounded, and that's just, the bottom line of it. And this is a hard path. It goes back ages and ages and ages where people didn't want their children to be shaman. They didn't want the shamanic call. They didn't want to be chosen as the shaman. And it's not an easy path. It's not a glorious path. This is sort of a myth, a misnomer in our culture, that to use the title shaman, that you're somehow elevating yourself above other people and that there's some sort of glory or honor in it. I mean, there is honor in the path. If you're serving other people, there's honor in that, regardless of what you're doing. You know, of course, there's honor. The honor comes from within you. You're the source of it. It comes from your integrity and your obedience to the call. So there is honor in it. But they put honor in it in the terms of like somebody should be glorified or objectified or elevated because they're using the title or claiming to be a shaman. You know, in actuality, this is a really hard path. We have to suffer, we have to endure, we have to go through the broken bones, we have to go through the illnesses, the sickness, you know, the torment, the discomfort, the disease. We go through all of that, and it's hard. It's a hard path. So being a shaman doesn't actually help me escape this in any way. In actuality, this happened to me because I am a shaman. That's part of the process, is transmuting it, not getting bogged down in pain and the suffering, but recognizing it as part of the process and as a teacher, a wisdom teacher. So, you know, it's a good thing, and I celebrate it. You know, I'm not trying to get rid of my pain body or subdue pain or, you know, elevate above it or ascend above it or anything. I'm trying to actually eat it for breakfast and transmute it, poop out something that's awesome and amazing. And it requires a process, a digestion process. It requires that you eat it, become friends with it, you know, ingest it, own it, let it become a part of your body, feel it, experience it, and transmute it. So that's really what I'm doing. You know, 6 weeks of convalescing. It's hard, it's a sacrifice, but I'm not complaining. At this point, I'm just working on transmuting it, and I'm working really hard. So I'm actually really grateful that this happened. But don't get me wrong, it's been really tough. The first week was the hardest. Very, very hard. It was very challenging. You know, I was disappointed, you know, that I wouldn't be able to go to the gym. And here I am sitting, you know, for all day, and I felt bad about that. Like, physically, I don't like to be this immobile, this sedentary. But by the same time, you know, when this first happened, I'm like, how am I going to do this? My husband's gone at work for long periods of time. I'm here pretty much by myself. How am I going to get my needs met? Even getting up to go to the bathroom is a major challenge. I'm telling you, like, to get in and out of, you know, I have a toilet closet, so it's in a own separate little closet, but it's narrow. The doorway into it's narrow. So to get myself on crutches in through there is difficult. To get myself up from, you know, a seating position using one leg. And in the case of like my bathroom, I don't have a handicap bathroom, so I have no rails or anything on the side where I can use my arms to get leverage to pull myself up or push myself up. So to, you know, be able to be in a sitting position and get myself up on one leg and not put any weight whatsoever or bump the other leg has been quite remarkable. And even getting myself in the bed, you know, I'm short and my bed is high. You know, I usually have a stool beside my bed, but I can't hop up on one leg on the stool and then hop up from the stool onto the bed. So I'm having to, you know, use my core strength, my abdominal muscles, my thighs, my hip flexors. I mean, that first week I was sore. Like, I had gone to the gym and done like major workout. But 3 weeks in, I can tell you that I'm really strong now, and I can move my body in ways that I couldn't even imagine. You know, I can stand on one leg and, you know, just dress myself on one leg. I'm just really got adapted and gotten strong. I'm doing daily affirmations around my ankle to try to dispel some of the fear, you know, that I might have about putting weight on it when it heals, to, you know, heal the psycho-spiritual elements of this, the body trauma, you know, that I experienced as a result. I'm also using homeopathic remedies. They're behind me. You can see that blue bottle, and that's actually some watered down Ortho Ease from Young Living. which is a mixture of several different essential oils. Somebody gave that to me, and I've been using that 2 to 3 times a day, just spraying it on my ankle. I also have been using arnica gel, putting that 2 to 3 times a day, slathering that all around on my ankle. Then I have this salve as well, comfrey. This was sourced locally. It's also called knit bone, and it's supposed to help the bones heal faster when you've had a broken bone. And then I also have, from a homeopathic source, a bottle of it. Its official name is Symphytum officinale. I believe that's how you say it. 200 C's. I don't know if you can see it, if it's kind of blurry, but I'm taking this internally as well. I just started this yesterday because it just came in the mail yesterday. So I'm doing a lot of things to heal, but one of the most important things, and I wanted to stress this in talking about my own healing, is really tuning in and listening to the body. You know, they gave me a boot, and I'm so thankful for that, because a cast just would have really sucked. And the boot has Velcro straps, so I'm able to take it off and put it on, you know, so that I can shower and whatnot. Boy, that's a challenge as well, because my shower is it's a tile shower, and it has, you know, a pretty substantial tile ledge that's wide and tall, and I have to be able to get over that ledge on one foot. Not an easy task. But anyway, listening to the body and the healing process is super, super important. You know, basically I was told for the first 3 weeks to keep the boot on, pretty much, not put any weight on my leg whatsoever. And, you know, for the most part, I have absolutely complied with that. I have a little knee scooter that helps me get around a little bit more efficiently than the crutches. And I've, you know, for the first week, left the boot on all the time. And then I would take it off during the day just to let my foot sort of breathe, get some air, not be so confined and strapped in. But then I would keep it on at night. But my body really started telling me that it didn't like the boot. You know, I was waking up every day, and the swelling that I had worked so hard during the day to actually reduce and get down, by the next morning with the boot on, it was right back again. So I was tuning in, and my body was showing me it didn't like the boot. So I started taking the boot off and keeping it off all the time. The only time actually I even put it on now is when I'm going out of the house, which isn't too often these days. But as soon as I started leaving the boot off even at night, the swelling substantially decreased, the bruisings decreased, and I'm definitely on a healing path and the road to recovery. Now, part of the reason this may have happened is because I do have osteoporosis. So, you know, there's the physical aspect beyond, you know, the psycho-spiritual and the possible dark sorcery, you know, the malevolent intent that has been coming my direction. But beyond that, you know, I do have osteoporosis, and interestingly, I get annual reclass treatment. So once a year they give me reclass, which is a bone builder, and I'm due for that next month, August 11th. I just had treatment, chemotherapy actually yesterday. So in 3 weeks I go back for chemotherapy again, and I'm scheduled for my reclass. So I will still be in the boot, and it won't be 6 weeks yet for me. So, you know, I think that getting the reclass during this healing period actually could potentially be a really good thing. I'm really lucky. When I went to the orthopedic, they x-rayed me again. They said, nope, your bones are really straight. Because your bones are straight, we're just going to send you home in a boot, and we don't think that you're going to need surgery. So there's that. Now I go again next week for my 3-week checkup. I'll be roughly halfway in between the healing period, and I'm sure they're going to x-ray me again. I don't know if they'll want to do an MRI, potentially, just because the swelling is still more than I personally would like it to be at being 3 weeks into this healing But I just wanted to share with you guys that, you know, this is part of the path, and I'm actually really grateful that this happened to me. As difficult as it is, as much pain as it's caused me, as much suffering and inconvenience as it's caused me, as much of a challenge as it's been for me, as much as I've had to actually sacrifice and give up to be sitting here convalescing for 6 weeks on the couch, which has been really difficult. I'm actually really grateful for this. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I feel like this is the final stage of a deep, deep healing that I've been working on for years. And I am owning it 100%. And I'm getting through it. I'm doing everything that I can to support my healing in every way. I've done some Akashic record work in the last week. I've definitely done some shamanic work, some energy healing on myself. You know, I've employed my husband to assist me with that as well. He's also, you know, Reiki attuned. So he's been helping me so much. I'm so, so grateful for my husband. He's just been awesome and amazing. And then, you know, all these other little homeopathic things that I've been doing as well. And I'm getting through it. You know, I got through all of that. I think I took 2 meloxicam and maybe 2 ibuprofen, 800 ibuprofens. The second night, the night I came home after the emergency room, I did take 1 Ultram just to help me sleep. Because I had, you know, the temporary cast on, and, you know, they had x-rayed me, so they were twisting and turning my ankle in all these directions to get the x-ray, and I was in a lot of pain. So I had 1 Ultram and 2 15 milligram meloxicams, and I think 1, maybe 2 800 ibuprofens. And that's it. That's the only pain medications that I have had. And that was in the first few days after the break. So I am just sharing that with you, not to really brag, but to just encourage you that it's possible to master your pain, to control your mind, to work with the endorphins and the energies created from pain and suffering, and to transmute this stuff in positive, healthy ways that serve you, serve your healing, and serve other people. So anyway, that's all I have to say to you. I don't know if I'm going to make another video in the next 3 weeks. I'm kind of just chilling out, really introspecting, taking my time, focusing in, learning a lot of things, some important things, moving some mountains in my soul, and yeah, so I'm kind of staying quiet, not making a lot of videos. We did have an incident day before yesterday with Jared. He had a seizure, resulted in an emergency room visit, and some pretty significant trauma and drama. And I'm pretty sure that he and I will get together and make a video about that. It's real important, and I want to do that. But I'm not going to be able to drive, at least for another 3 weeks. So we're both kind of homebound. I'm not sure if we'll make the video after, you know, I'm able to get back up on my feet and drive again, or if we'll try to do something here in the house. But anyway, yeah, expect that. That's going to be coming as we share, you know, kind of what happened and what that was like for both of us, our different perspectives on it. But yeah, anyway, yep, I'm definitely on the path of healing, and thanks for watching. As always, I love you guys so much. I appreciate your intent for healing and your positive thoughts and your good energies, and you know, appreciate you guys so much. So thanks for watching.